Now, the title of this book will grab you. It is Faith, Purpose, and Politics, Running the Race of My Life. Immediately, I was captivated. Tell me about how you chose your title.
Oh, I don't think I chose this title. It just came to me, and because I know I was in the race of my life.
All right. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, January 31st. And you know what time it is? We're keeping up with Congress. Keeping up with Congress. So let's take a look at these committee meetings. We always start out with the committee meetings that's happening on the Hill. February the 4th, hearings to examine the poisoning of America, focusing on fentanyl and its analogs and the need for permanent class scheduling. That's February the 4th at 10:30 a.m. February the 4th at 2:30 p.m. to receive a closed briefing on certain intelligence matters, February the 4th, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. February the 5th, right-sizing government, February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. February the 5th, my apologies. Make community banking great again. Make community banking great again. That's February the 5th at 10 o'clock a.m. Hope on the horizon, prioritizing small business growth in the 119th Congress. February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. Hearings to examine the real impacts of debanking in America. February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. This was a big one here. February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. Business meeting to consider S93 to amend harmful algae blooms and Hypoxia Research and Control Act of 1998. Again, this is, it's several bills. Senate Bill 98 to require the Federal Communications Commission to establish a vetting process for prospective applicants. Senate Bill 99 to require the Secretary of Commerce to produce a report that provides recommendations to improve effectiveness. Senate Bill 161 to require the Secretary of Transportation to issue rules relating to the testing procedures under the new car assessment program. Senate Bill 95 is to amend the Visit America Act to promote music tourism. Senate Bill 16 to amend the Save Our Seas Act. Senate Bill 245 to require the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communication and Information to establish a working group on cyber insurance. Senate Bill 246 to protect the right of law-abiding citizens to transport knives interstate. Senate Bill 257 to improve the resilience of critical supply chains. Senate Bill 258 to improve forecasting and understanding of tornadoes and other hazardous weather. Senate Bill 260 to amend the Bottles and Breastfeeding Equipment Screening Act. Senate Bill 278 to prohibit users who are under age 13 from accessing social media platforms. Senate Bill 281 to require sellers of event tickets to disclose comprehensive information to consumers about ticket prices and related fees. Senate Bill 283 is to require the Under Secretary of Commerce for Standards and Technology and the Administrator of National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration to develop a standard methodology for identifying the country or origin of seafood to support enforcement against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Talking about our food supply, y'all. Senate Bill 306 to establish and maintain a coordinated program within the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that improves wildlife, fire risk, and wildfire smoke related forecasting, detection, modeling. Senate Bill 314 to prohibit unfair and deceptive advertising of prices for hotel rooms and other places of short-term lodging. Senate Bill 315 to require the Secretary of Transportation to issue a rule requiring the AM broadcast stations and passenger motor vehicles, and the nomination of Howard Lutnick of New York to be Secretary of Commerce. So, that's a big morning. All these bills, Senate bills, will be heard. That's a whole day. 10 o'clock. I hope they get a lunch. Sound like they're going to be in there for quite a while. All these Senate bills. February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. Business meeting to consider Senate Bill 68 to prohibit the suspension of collections on loans made to small businesses related to COVID-19. Senate Bill 273 to allow nonprofit child care providers to participate in certain loan programs of the Small Business Administration. Senate Bill 298 to require the administrator of the Small Business Administration to relocate. Interesting. Relocate 30% of the employees assigned to headquarters to duty stations outside the Washington metropolitan area. Interesting. That's Senate Bill 298. Senate Bill 300 to improve accountability in the disaster loan program of the Small Business Administration. An original resolution authorizing expenditures by the committee during the 119th Congress. Committee rules and the nomination of Kelly Loeffler of Georgia to be administrator of the Small Business Administration. So that's February the 5th, y'all, 10 o'clock a.m. Keeping up with Congress. Keeping up with Congress. Preparing the pipeline. Another committee meeting. Preparing the pipeline, examining the state of America's cyber workforce, February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. Preparing the pipeline, examining the state of America's cyber workforce, February the 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. February the 5th, 10:15 a.m. Legislative hearing on H.R. 410, the Alaska Native Vietnam Era Veterans Land Allotment Extension Act of 2025, H.R. 412, to authorize the Bay Mills Indian Community of the state of Michigan to convey land and interest in land owned by the tribe. H.R. 504, Muskogee, Reserved Area Amendments Act, and H.R. 741, Stronger Engagement for Indian Health Needs Act of 2025. So that's February the 5th at 10:15 a.m. February the 5th at 10:15 a.m., the State of America Education. February the 5th, 10:15 a.m. All these hearings, y'all, happening on Capitol Hill. We got to have a presence. We got to keep up with Congress. February the 5th, 10:30 a.m., hearings to examine farmer and rancher views on the agriculture economy. So that's hearings to examine farmer and rancher views on the agriculture economy. February the 5th, 2:30 p.m. to receive closed briefing on certain intelligence matters. February the 5th at 2:30 p.m. February the 6th, 10 o'clock a.m., combating existing and emerging illicit drug threats. That's February the 6th, 10 o'clock a.m. February the 6th, 2 o'clock p.m., BA first, Veterans second, the Biden-Harris legacy. February the 6th, 2 o'clock p.m., time's running out, prosecuting fraudsters for stealing billions in unemployment benefits from American workers. February the 6th, 2 o'clock p.m., Operation Choke Point 2.0, the Biden administration's effort to put crypto in the crosshairs. Whew, keeping up with Congress. It's going to be a busy week on the Hill next week. Keeping up with Congress. All right, let's take a look at these bills as we're keeping up with Congress coming out of the United States Senate. Senate Bill number 91, Senate Bill 91, is a bill to improve federal activities relating to wildfires and other purposes. This is introduced by Senator Cortez Masto, Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat out of the state of Nevada. Senate Bill 92, Senate Bill 92 is a bill to require Senate approval before the United States assumes any obligation under a WHO pandemic agreement and to suspend funding for the WHO until such agreement is ratified by the Senate. Introduced by Senator John Barrasso, Republican out of the state of Wyoming. Senate Bill 93. Senate Bill 93 is a bill to amend the harmful algal blooms and hypoxia Research and Control Act of 1998 to address harmful algal blooms and for other purposes. This is introduced by Senator Dan Sullivan, Republican out of Alaska. Senate Bill 93. I was curious about these blooms, these algal blooms and hypoxia Research and Control Act of 1998 is a piece of legislation also known as the Harmful Algal Bloom and Hypoxia Research and Control Act that was enacted by the U.S. Congress to address the issue of harmful algal blooms, HABs, and hypoxia in water bodies, establishing a federal task force to study and develop strategies to prevent and mitigate these events. So I was curious about what this act was. Again, we're here to learn and to keep up with Congress. Senate Bill 94. Senate Bill 94 is a bill to award 3 Congressional Gold medals to the members of the 1998 United States Olympic men's ice hockey team. Senate Bill 94. Senate Bill 95 is a bill to prohibit the use of federal funds to close or realign the Marine Corps recruit depot located at Parris Island, South Carolina. So that's Senate Bill 95. Senate Bill 96. Senate Bill 96 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to prohibit certain activities constituting preparation of tax returns by the Secretary of the Treasury. So it's a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to prohibit certain activities constituting preparation of tax returns by the Secretary of the Treasury. Introduced by Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican from the state of Tennessee. We're going to learn these legislators' names. We're going to understand these bills. We're going to, again, keep our eye on Congress. We cannot go to sleep. Senate Bill 97. Senate Bill 97 is a bill to require Select USA to coordinate with state-level economic development organizations to increase foreign direct investment in semiconductor-related manufacturing and production. Introduced by Senator Gary Peters, Democrat out of Michigan. Senate Bill 98. Senate Bill 98 is a bill to require the Federal Communications Commission to establish a vetting process for prospective applicants for high-cost universal service program funding. So what is this vetting process all about? So I looked that up. So the Federal Communications Commission High Cost, including Connect America Fund, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, and 5G Fund. So the Federal Universal Service High Cost Program is designed to ensure that consumers in rural, insular, and high cost areas have access to modern communication networks capable of providing voice and broadband service, both fixed and mobile, at rates that are reasonably comparable to those in urban areas. The program fulfills the universal service goal by allowing eligible carriers who serve these areas to recover some of their costs from the Federal Universal Service Fund. So it's about communication in our rural rural areas. Interesting. Again, keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 99. Senate Bill 99 is a bill to require the Secretary of Commerce to produce a report that provides recommendations to improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and impact of Department of Commerce programs related to supply chain resilience and manufacturing and industrial innovation. This is introduced by Senator Peters, Senator Gary Peters, Democrat out of Michigan, the state of Michigan. Senate Bill 100. Senate Bill 100 is a bill to repeal the Corporate Transparency Act, introduced by Senator Tommy Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville is a Republican out of the state of Alabama. So I wanted to look that up. What is this Corporate Transparency Act? Many of you saw over the internet this filing that was supposed to take place. It says what every small business needs to know about this Corporate Transparency Act. The Corporate Transparency Act is currently on hold. We all saw it, this filing that we were supposed to file. There's no filing requirement. Stay on top of the updates here. Yes, let's see. So y'all remember what it was. It was that BOI we were supposed to go online and fill this whole transparency about your business. It says under the Corporate Transparency Act, CTA, which went into effect on January 1, 2024, many U.S. small business owners are required to file corporate transparency reports with beneficial ownership information. So that is currently on hold, and there's no filing for it. And it was quite interesting that everybody was going back and forth about filing this. So this Senator Tommy Tuberville, Republican out of Alabama, wants to totally repeal that. Looks like it got a lot of support, 25 co-sponsors thus far. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Senate Bill 101. Senate Bill 101 is a bill to require the Secretary of Energy to obtain the consent of affected state and local governments before making an expenditure from the Nuclear Waste Fund for a nuclear waste repository and for other purposes. So this was introduced by Senator Cortez Masto, again, Senator out of the state of Nevada, Democrat out of the state of Nevada. Senate Bill 102. Senate Bill 102 is a bill to require federal agencies to impose in-person work requirements for employees of those agencies and to occupy a certain portion of the office space of those agencies. Senator John Kennedy, Republican out of Louisiana. It's a bill to require federal agencies to impose in-person work requirements for employees. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 103. Senate Bill 103 is a bill to amend the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Control Application Act to extend the deadline by which TikTok must be sold in order to avoid being banned. Senator Markey, Democrat out of Michigan. Yeah, interesting. TikTok. We was all watching TikTok almost be no more. And let me go back. He's out of Massachusetts. My apologies. Senator Markey, Edward Markey is a Democrat out of Massachusetts. Yeah, we were all watching TikTok and what was going to happen with TikTok. There was a lot of people that wasn't happy about losing TikTok. So he wants to amend the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Control Application Act to extend the deadline by which TikTok must be sold in order to avoid being banned. Interesting. We will watch that. I'm sure there's a lot of people with their eyes on this piece of legislation. Senate Bill 104. Senate Bill 104 is a bill to rescind the presidential memoranda on the withdrawal of certain areas of the outer continental shelf from oil or natural gas leasing. So this presidential memoranda, let's see what it says. So, interesting. The President Biden bans future offshore drilling in certain areas. So this was a memoranda that President Biden wanted to block offshore drilling in certain areas with this new administration. So on January 6, 2025, President Biden invoked Section 12A of the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act to take an executive action prohibiting new oil and gas leases in vast offshore areas. President Biden cited the environmental and economic risk associated with offshore drilling, particularly the threat to coastal communities, marine ecosystems, and local economies reliant on fishing, tourism, and recreation. This action builds on previous withdrawals, including prior protection of portions of the northern Bering Sea and the Beaufort Sea in the U.S. Arctic Ocean. So going back to the legislation, this is Senator Ted Cruz, Republican out of Texas. It's a bill to rescind the presidential memoranda on the withdrawal of certain areas of the outer continental shelf from oil or natural gas. Keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 105. Senate Bill 105 is a bill to direct the Secretary of the Interior to complete all actions necessary for certain land to be held in restricted fee status by the Ogallala Sioux tribe and Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. Senator Mike Rounds, Republican out of South Dakota. And I looked that bill up as well. So, a bill to direct the Secretary of the Interior, I just went to Google for this one, to complete all actions necessary for certain land to be held in restricted fee status by the Ogallala Sioux tribe and the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe would essentially mandate that the Secretary of the Interior take all required steps to officially designate specific parcels of land as restricted fee property, meaning it would be owned by the Ogallala Sioux tribe and the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, with certain limitations on transfer or development, likely intended to protect sacred or culturally significant sites. Senate Bill 105, Republican Mike Rounds out of the state of South Dakota. Senate Bill 106. Senate Bill 106 is a bill to amend Title 18 of the Social Security Act to provide Medicare coverage for all physician services furnished by doctors of chiropractic within the scope of their license. This is Senator Kevin Kramer, Republican out of North Dakota. A bill to provide Medicare coverage for all physician services furnished by doctors of chiropractic within the scope of their license. So expanding what Medicare services are going to be able to be offered. Senate Bill 107. Senate Bill 107 is a bill to amend the Lumbi Act of 1956. I looked that one up as well. This Lumbi Act of 1956 was a law that recognized the Lumbi people of North Carolina as an American Indian tribe. However, the law also denied the Lumbi people federal benefits that are usually associated with such recognition. So that is Senate Bill 107. Senate Bill 108. Senate Bill 108 to make members of the Chinese Communist Party and their family members ineligible for F or J visas and for other purposes. So this is to make members of the Chinese Communist Party and their family members ineligible for F and J visas. So that's Senator Eric Schmidt, Republican, out of the state of Missouri. Keeping up with Congress. Keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 109, Senate Bill 109 is a bill to require the Secretary of the Interior to conduct certain offshore leasing sales under the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican, out of Louisiana. I looked this one up. The Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act is a U.S. federal law enacted in 1953 that establishes federal jurisdiction over the submerged lands, keyword y'all, submerged lands of the outer continental shelf, allowing the government to manage and lease these areas for the exploration and development of natural resources like oil and gas, essentially defining the federal government's control over the seabed. Wow. Controlling the seabed, y'all, beyond state coastal waters for resource extraction purposes. So they want to control the seabed for resource extraction purposes. Again, I'm trying to keep all my comments to myself. Senate Bill 109. I just want to bring you the information so you can run with it. Senate Bill 109, Republican, out of Louisiana. Senate Bill 110, and this is where we will stop for the day. Senate Bill 110, this is a bill to amend the Federal Credit Union Act to exclude extensions of credit made to veterans from the definition of a member business loan. So it's introduced by Senator Dan Sullivan, Republican. Dan Sullivan is a Republican out of the state of Alaska. Yeah. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. I am here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, bringing you the bills and the committee hearings so that you will be in the know. Most people, again, don't have time, energy, know-how to even keep up with this. But this is not the time for any of us to sit idle. We have to be very intentional about what is happening in this federal government so we can understand how it's going to affect our state government. And then we can understand why things are happening in our own backyard and how we can be a part of change or be a part of the opportunities that are going to present themselves. So this is our time now to engage politically. Civics is not something that's taught to the extent that it needs to be taught in our schools. But we can learn and we can share and we can teach each other. And that's what Keeping Up with Congress is all about. This is my approach to staying engaged and paying attention and watching policy, understanding the players and understanding this game. Because again, this affects our everyday lives. This affects everything about this America that we're living in. The air you breathe, the water you drink, all of it is political. So again, Keeping Up with Congress, Monday through Thursday, 5 o'clock p.m. to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this. Make sure you keep, again, these policies that are coming down the pike. Let's be intentional about being a part of the process. So I ask you to go to my website, Tamara Shealy, that's Tamarashealy.com. TamaraShealy.com. Go to the website. You like what you're hearing. You appreciate me bringing this to you. Donate, support. This is how I'm able to continue to do this. Every dollar counts. Do what you can. Be consistent. Even if it's $5 a month. Just be consistent with giving. Again, this is my life's work. I'm in politics now, and I can't seem to get out. It's just like I'm swimming in it. So I want to keep bringing you information. So do what you can to help me continue to be a resource, to you and others. So I'll see you back here next week. Next week again, we'll be back and we'll be keeping our eye and keeping up with Congress. Have a good weekend, everybody.